The chilling tale of the Hell's Kitchen murders, the tragic fate of Julio Ramirez and John Umberger. The world is still reeling from the tragic and senseless loss of two members of the LGBTQ+ community, John Umberger and Julio Ramirez. These two men who had promising futures ahead of them were robbed of their lives in separate incidents that occurred after they left gay bars in Hell's Kitchen in 2022. Julio Ramirez, a social worker from Brooklyn, and John Umberger, a political consultant from Washington, D.C., had their lives cut tragically short, leaving their loved ones and the wider community in a state of shock and mourning. Their untimely deaths have left the community with more questions than answers. Who could have committed such heinous crimes against two innocent men, and why? The community is left to wonder what drove someone to commit such a heinous act, and why they would target members of the LGBTQ+ community. Was it a hate crime? Did their sexual orientation play a role in their tragic deaths? These are the questions that continue to haunt the community. Welcome to AF Crime, the channel that brings you fascinating crimes all around the world. If you're interested in this kind of content, then this channel is for you. Make sure to like this video, click on the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell to keep you updated on our recent uploads. Now, let's delve into the case and investigate the death of the two promising members of the LGBTQ community. On a night in April 2022, Julio Ramirez was last seen leaving Ritz Bar and Lounge on West 46th Street with a group of men. They all got into a taxi, but Ramirez was found alone and unresponsive in the back seat by the driver. He was rushed to a hospital, but it was too late. Ramirez was pronounced dead and his wallet and phone were missing. The taxi driver reported the incident to the police and an investigation was launched. Later, Ramirez's relatives discovered that $20,000 was missing from his bank account, and the community was left to wonder who could have committed such a heinous crime against an innocent man. Just over a month later, in late May, John Umberger was found dead from an apparent drug overdose in his employer's Upper East Side townhouse. Surveillance footage from earlier in the night showed him leaving QNYC Club on 8th Avenue, propped up by several men. It wasn't until Umberger's mother, Linda Clary, alerted the police that her son was missing that he was found. His phone and credit cards were missing, and $25,000 was stolen from his bank account. The devastating loss of two members of the LGBTQ community within just a few weeks left their loved ones and the wider community reeling. But this case seems to be a much bigger one, because it turns out that the suspects are believed to be responsible for multiple deaths. In a story that sends shivers down your spine, 6 suspects have been indicted for a string of robberies and murders, including the deaths of 2 men who were drugged and killed after visiting New York City gay bars. The first pattern of crimes is believed to be the work of this crew, which police say is responsible for a total of 17 victims, including the deaths of John Umberger and Julio Ramirez. According to family members, both men left the bars with at least one unknown person before their bank accounts were drained of thousands of dollars. Police used facial recognition access on their phones to access their accounts. Both men were found dead last spring in the lively Hell's Kitchen neighborhood of Manhattan. This month, nearly a year after their deaths, the medical examiner's office ruled that their deaths were caused by a drug-facilitated theft. Multiple drugs, including fentanyl, lidocaine, and cocaine, were found in their systems. The second pattern of crimes is believed to involve a different crew, responsible for at least 26 robberies. A Manhattan grand jury is currently hearing the case. Catherine Gallagher, an acclaimed fashion designer, is believed to be a victim of this crew. Gallagher died of acute toxicity caused by the combined effects of alcohol, fentanyl, ethanol, and fluorofentanyl. She had been working on a fall 2022 collection when she was found dead in her Eldridge Street apartment. Robert DeMaio, one of the suspects, turned himself into authorities at the 5th Precinct on Monday morning after an indictment was issued in the death of John Umberger. DeMaio and another suspect, Jaquan Hamilton, were allegedly seen on videos recovered from DeMaio's phone taken while they were inside the Upper East Side apartment where Umberger was staying the night of his murder. In the background, Umberger can reportedly be seen lying unconscious. Police were able to link DeMaio and Hamilton to the crime through the video evidence as well as rental car records that tied DeMaio to a red Dodge Durango used the night of Umberger's death. Jacob Barroso, another suspect, was arrested in connection with the death of Julio Ramirez. Both men are facing charges of murder, robbery, grand larceny, and conspiracy. The DA's office officially announced the arrest of Jaquan Hamilton, 34, in addition to the previous arrests of Robert DeMaio, 34, Jacob Barroso, 29, Andre Butts, 27, and Shane Hoskins, 30, who are charged with drugging and robbing at least 17 victims at bars and restaurants around the city, including Ramirez and Umberger, who died as a result of their assaults. The leading theory is that the victims were targeted for money, not their sexual orientation. However, the NYPD Hate Crimes Task Force is investigating the potential bias factor as a precaution. The city that never sleeps, New York, has been hit by a wave of crimes that are not only shocking, but also downright horrifying. Officials have stated that these deaths are just part of a much bigger picture, one that involves schemes by criminal gangs to incapacitate and rob people at bars and nightclubs. The victims in this case are at least 5 in number and were killed over the course of several months. While the police believe that the killings are the work of different gangs operating independently, the tactics used by these gangs are eerily similar. They surreptitiously slip dangerous levels of drugs into the victims' drinks to knock them out, and then steal their wallets and phones. In some cases, they even go as far as draining their bank accounts using their digital banking information. The victims of these heinous crimes are not limited to just those who died. Many others have come forward with stories of being drugged by strangers and waking up to find their money gone. Another one of the most tragic stories to come out of this wave of crimes is that of Nurbu Sherpa, a 29-year-old chef who was found dead on the sidewalk after leaving a bar where he had been celebrating St. Patrick's Day. His death is just one of many in a string of deaths that have left the city in shock and disbelief. The modus operandi of these gangs is one that is both sophisticated and deadly. They specifically target unsuspecting revelers at bars and nightclubs and use their charm and wit to gain their trust. Once they have their victims under their spell, they slip drugs into their drinks, rendering them unconscious. As the victims lie helpless and unaware of what is happening to them, the gangs systemically rob them of everything they have. This includes their wallets, phones, and even their digital banking information. They leave their victims stranded and alone, often with no recollection of what had just happened to them. And anyway, the recent announcement made by Hell's Kitchen lawmakers was a significant moment for the LGBTQIA+ community, which had been living in fear for an extended period. The arrest of the ringleader of the violent crew responsible for killing and robbing Julio Ramirez and John Umberger was a small relief for the community. Assemblymember Tony Simone expresses his gratitude towards the NYPD for their efforts in making the arrest and keeping the community informed throughout the investigation. He also thanked the DA's office for securing indictments against the 6 gang members who made up this crew. The loss of Julio and John is tragic, and although the arrest won't bring them back, it is a step towards justice for their families and loved ones. City Council member Eric Botcher, who believes that these arrests will send a message to anyone who preys on the innocent in the community. They will be caught and they will be held accountable for their actions, he emphasized. The need for New Yorkers to work together to combat violence and seek justice for victims. The memory of Julio and John must be honored by working towards a safer and more equitable society for all. The Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, and the NYPD's work on these cases were acknowledged, and the lawmakers extended their deepest sympathies to the families and loved ones of the victims. If you have recent experience with this topic, please comment down below so we can discuss it and take action. Don't forget to tune in for our next video where we will reveal more recent true crime stories. AF Crime strives to bring you more such cases, so if you are interested, do subscribe to our channel where we bring you multiple videos per week, and don't forget to click on the bell icon to receive notification whenever we publish a new video. Till the next case, and thanks for watching.